Hi guys and welcome. This is Gaita Siciliano, artist, memoir writer, bipolar psychiatric survivor, and your host of Not As Crazy As You Think podcast, the place that offers an alternative perspective on mental illness, highlighting creativity, non-conventional healing, and breaking on through to the other side. If you are ready for a new narrative on the mental realm that celebrates crazy and cool without penalty, then Not As Crazy As You Think is for you.
We are here today, this evening in Brooklyn, Bushwick, on location at the art scene. This is where it's really happening, and we have some really great artists that we're talking to today, and we want to share that with you. One of them, his name is G, and G is right here. So welcome, G, to the show.
Thank you.
On location, we are here in Bushwick, Brooklyn, the epicenter of the art scene. This is where you're supposed to be if you're doing art in the U.S. This is probably the place, one of the places.
It would seem to be.
It would seem to be, right?
Yeah.
So what has brought you here?
Today I'm part of this Essential show. It's really awesome. It's actually organized by this young lady named Liz. Basically, it's Essentials 2021. A good friend of mine, Shanette Manso, she did this event in 2019. So she told a couple friends about it, and here we are.
So were you, just like many other artists, affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdown?
Yes, I have mental and physical and emotional needs at the moment. Yeah, it's a terrible thing that happened to the world.
Okay, how has it affected your art?
Oh, my art, it's amazing right now.
Yeah?
It's really great, actually. The COVID was probably the best thing that happened to me as an artist.
Right, tell us about it, please.
Yeah, so quarantine, I'm going to be honest with people. I loved quarantine. Quarantine was great. It was fantastic. I had an amazing time because I got to focus and I got to make a lot of amazing art. So I wrote a bunch of grants.
Good for you.
Did a bunch of stuff. Exactly. So that's the thing. You got to, if you're in it to win it. And make it happen.
Gotta be in it to win it. There you go, folks. There you go. Jen, would you like to say anything? Would you like to add something? Here you go.
Well, I thought it was interesting. You know a lot about Bushwick and, you know, how it's come to be one of the cultural epicenters of the art world in New York City. So, you know, when did you come here and how has it changed over the years?
I first moved over to this area closer to Ridgewood, which was around 2003. And I lived in the loft out there close to Halsey. And it was amazing. It was great. It was this beautiful community of freaks and artists and like minds and intellectuals and all kinds of beautiful kind of rich energy. And it was weird because there was a couple lofts. Watch your back. There was a couple lofts that we're in the stairwell of people that didn't know at Essentials. Anyways, so, and a couple lofts out here that would do parties every so often, every other such and such. And eventually, it seems like more and more artists came out here, more and more stuff started to get going on. You had tiny little galleries start to pop up. You had, but again, this is just a little walk from Williamsburg.
Right.
Where it was at for a bit, you know? And that whole migration happened after people were done with Manhattan prices. In the 90s, it was like they couldn't do it anymore. They left the Lower East Side, East Village, West Village. The West Village became completely unaffordable for artists, so either you were going to go where? Further up? Further down? People decided to go to Brooklyn.
Right.
So it was funny because I feel like, watch your back again. Later in the 2000s, it seemed to be that you were looking for cheap places to live. Here, Bushwick, Ridgewood, parts of Bed-Stuy were some of the cheapest rents you could get.
Right.
So that's why you had a bunch of young college kids like myself, artists, come through and start essentially doing arts and activating stuff. But it was also with that, like anything, you have one thing can't exist without the other. So along with that came gentrification, came change of value for the real estate, came all of a sudden. Now look at this right now. Look at this out here. Like, I was walking around here today and I'm like, look at all this crazy shit for Bushwick Open Studios. I was
amazing.
like, this is like, it's like the new First Ave or something like that. It's like all of a sudden I start to feel like this is getting more and more of a city vibe.
Yeah.
So 2003 was not like that.
Wow.
No. You had just a couple bodegas, couple little spots. You had Silent Barn, which is up here on Wyckoff. That was a dope spot. A lot of different bands would play there. A lot of different like stuff was happening there. You had Glasslands that was down further still on Kent. You know, a couple little spots where you could see like really cool stuff. But then all of a sudden you had little tiny places. Like the first gallery that I ever did anything with out here was called Junto Gallery. And it was at the bottom of the Halsey Lofts out there. And it was really cool. People were just kind of like turning their home into a gallery.
Wow.
And that was the whole beginning idea, I believe, like the whole thesis behind Open Studios was that anybody could participate in this 3-day event.
Right.
Anyone could do this. You would take your home, open it up, do whatever you wanted, and there you are.
Wow.
So it kind of took, it was again this rebirth of like this DIY kind of thing that was happening out here. I was definitely up in it. I was curating shows, doing parties, doing rooftop parties. I did a bunch of stuff around the early 2010s. So I had a gallery for a little bit of while. And, you know, this whole place just blew up.
Right.
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was amazing to see what this monster is out here right now. It's crazy.
It's fabulous. I mean, you know, you don't realize it until the day goes from the beginning to the night. And you say, wait, this is just like constantly going on. It's just like this active, you know.
It's like we were saying last night. Like we were saying basically how like Bushwick is a place where it's like obviously people like art.
Yeah, right.
Like it's like on your breath. You know what I mean? Like you see what's happening. You see that this is what people want out here. People vibe with it. So it was pretty good for a little while. It was pretty good, and things started to change because you did have all of a sudden questioning of like, well, what's happening out here, really? You got a bunch of artists, a bunch of art, a bunch of galleries. You got fairs. You got a whole Chelsea gallery out here now. You have like all these different things that are happening. But I was also a teacher for a long time. So I would teach here in Bushwick High for a little bit.
Oh, tell us about that.
And that was really cool. It was fun. I did some after school out here. This is like maybe early... I'm trying to think. I'm old. Sorry. 2007, 2008, something like that. And I was teaching these kids out here after school. And it was the weekend of Open Studios. So there used to be 3 festivals in Bushwick. A spring festival, a summer festival, and a fall festival. The spring festival was called, I believe, it was like more of a music festival. They had a lot of bands play, a lot of stuff was happening. Second summer festival was Open Studios. That's what it was. This is when it started. It was after the weekend after Labor Day. First weekend of June. And the fall festival, I believe, was called the Sight Festival, or maybe that was the spring festival. Oh no, Sight Festival was the spring one. Open Studios was summer, and Beta Spaces was the fall. So those were the 3 main things that happened out here. Eventually, Open Studios just kind of won out because it was the most popular one. The other 2 kind of just went away after a year or 2.
Okay.
But Open Studios kept, stayed. So it moved from the summer to the fall, I think about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But it's been this attractor once a year that gets, it's like a magnet. People come together, all this craziness happens out here, and it's just like this 3 days up to like, well, here we are.
So Open Studios, is it like a collective that continually does stuff throughout the year, or there's just this thing that gets together during the one time?
I honestly couldn't tell you too much because it's Arts in Bushwick is the organization, I don't deal with them. I don't know them like that. So
But good to look it up, people. If you're into art, check it out.
Yeah.
Gee, you got to tell us a little bit about this exhibit that you put up for this Bushwick festival. Yeah.
So it's if people didn't know, it's E.T.'s birthday. That's right. Get
This
him out,
weekend.
people. Take him out. Wiggle him around. It's E.T.'s birthday. So E.T.'s like I think a couple thousand years old, whatever. What's up, brother? So so basically I did these silk screens of different phases of his life. So E.T. in his punk phase, E.T. in his like super emo dark Batman phase, E.T. when he's like his spiritual phase. I have other ones, his drag phase and stuff. He's basically just kind of living his life like we all do, playing characters and telling stories. Yeah, so it's pretty great, and basically it's having these little prints here. It's the basis for a bigger kind of idea to do like a bigger show of like E.T.'s birthday.
I love it.
Yeah.
How old is he?
I'm saying he's like 3,050 or something. 52, who knows? Which is
One other thing I want to ask you, okay? This thing that's coming up, I know you're part of some kind of art group that puts together these like performance art pieces, or what's this thing coming up? You're telling me something about a TV burial?
Oh, right, that thing. Let's see.
I'm fascinated with this.
So that is essentially, how could I tell you? What could I tell you about that?
Is it happening? That's what we want to know.
Well, that's what I like to know, actually. I actually would like to know that because I really don't know, to be honest with you, what's happening at the moment because it seems to be changing all the time. If people didn't know, like actually hanging out with artists.
It's always an organic thing. You never really know if it's going to come through until...
It's like a fucking eagle swamp, like being in a band. So Bushwick is a big eagle swamp, but anyways. It's a little performance thing that we do. We start to go out to the street and we start doing activations. Activations, that's right. We activate the street. We activate the stuff that's happening. We activate our bodies. We get up. We're not sitting. We're like moving. We're doing a story. We're telling some stuff. And we try to activate people's, reaction. Like you're like looking at this, my friend right now, Daniela. Well, I should call her Larks. She's a performance artist from Colombia. And the last activation that we did, which was right down over here, we ended up, she spun in place for like almost an hour.
Oh my goodness.
I've never seen any human being really do that before. I try to spin for like a minute, I'm going to vomit. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like I can't really do it. So, but she was spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning for almost an hour. And I was just like, so what I usually do is draw. My other good friend, he's Ruin, I guess you could call him Ruin, or Gael, but basically he does these balloon installations as we're doing our thing. So everyone is individual, but we're together.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're collabing on the spot as a organic.
Yes, it's basically just kind of, I think a long time ago they used to call them happenings.
Yes.
So, but we call them activations. And yes, we understand why we say that. Because we're activating things. We're making sure that we're in communication with each other, but we're letting each other kind of do their thing.
Right.
So the next one, it seems like it's going to be fun. We're going to bury a TV, I think. So we'll see what that's about. I don't know. It's supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be fun. And we're going to do it like with the style of like a New Orleans funeral march.
Wow.
So we want to have a march of people. Hey, you guys come out.
You gotta let me know.
Seriously, yeah, come
you have
out.
my card, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Come out, check it out, and see what's happening. Like, we're gonna get a bunch of people together. We're gonna do this thing, and bury the TV.
I think it's fascinating. Who knows what's gonna happen when this TV is buried?
Yeah. And we go by the name. Just if you catch us in your town. It's called Super Spreader.
Super Spreader.
That's right.
That's awesome.
And
that's been with us, this terminology, for a while, and we hope you spread it just like a virus,
We're
but
spreading
in a good
the
way.
joy. We're spreading more things for people, more art for people, because art is for everybody.
Awesome.
Art's for all the people.
And that's what we're experiencing here. Last words, Todd?
Yeah, I'd like to say it's really great to be here in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of artists dream about being here, especially today in 2021 at the end of the year in fall. It's nice to be here. Weather's beautiful. It's nice to walk through the streets. There's a lot of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it feels like there's
absolutely.
always something going on. And yeah, it's great to be here. But we're going back upstate tonight and hang out in the boonies.
It's all good.
In the
It's all good.
boonies.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure,
I don't
of
think
course.
I told it to I only told it to Jen, but let me tell you so that way you hear it too. So Bushwick is a Dutch name. It's because the Dutch were the first to colonize New York City back in the 1400s. They took it from the indigenous before here on what was before called Manhattan. Before it was called Manhattan. The indigenous were the Lenape and the Wappingers. So they were some of the main clusters. There was a lot. There's all kinds of individual indigenous out here, but they were the main ones. So everything has everything out here is indigenous land. So Bushwick is Dutch because in Dutch it means deep woods or heavy woods. That's why that bar over there is called Heavy Woods. So Bushwick, in essence, back in the day, back a long, long time ago, all of this was forest. This was a big forest. And to me, I'm like, yeah, it still kind of basically is in some ways, you know? It's the deep woods. We're out here, so...
Great. Do you have some social media you'd like to promote or anything like that where we can find you?
Yeah, sure. If you could have that Instagram thing, which I really can't stand. I kind of don't like it, but Instagram is graphic with a K .magik with a K. So graphik.magik, 2 Ks.
Great. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much.
Take care. See you next time.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
All the best. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Hi.
Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome. We are here in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, Brooklyn, at the Essential Art and Music Gathering
Art music show.
exhibition. And we're here with a very special guest today. We have Sir Ian Cinco, who we're going to talk to in a minute about his art and what drives him and what brought him here and why it's, all happening. So here goes. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming to my booth.
Ian, you're a pretty amazing artist. I look at your stuff and I think right away, comic book, okay? Is your illustrative style influenced by a comic book background?
I think heavily so. Yeah, I'm not even shy about it or hiding that. I'm literally making a comic, and as you're staring at it with me, you're staring at the cover to issue 2 right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I deliberately, as I started getting back into art and painting more, I deliberately am doing, I think, a comic book technique. You know, it's like I'm laying color down, but these strong graphic lines, black lines on top.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you use, like, when you do your comic book work, I know that you are a liner, but do you lean at all on any kind of, like, how they add today inking, graphic, like the graphic illustrator programs? Do you color through that, or do you do your own coloring?
I mean, I do my own coloring. If you're asking digital versus analog, I do both. Like we're sitting at my booth right now, and there's this big painting to my right.
That's amazing.
That's gouache, very very analog with the black lines on top. But this comic was colored totally digitally. So I did the whole issue traditionally. I penciled it, I inked it, and then I ended up touching a lot up digitally, and I colored it fully digitally. And I'm leaning towards doing the entire thing digitally just for time's sake, so I can do it faster and quicker and get more issues out.
Right. I think that's why there's that lean in the comic book industry. I used to work for Archie Comics.
Nice.
So there were, inkers, and then that's all there was. There's very little, graphic.
Yeah, there
programs.
was no computers yet.
No.
It's dramatically changed,
But it's great too because like this stuff is clearly inked. We're going to show your art on the YouTube video so people could actually see it.
So you're turning to what I call the quarantine series or the lockdown series.
Wow. How many of these are there?
I didn't count them. I don't have a count. that's not all of them either. That's just the ones that I thought were best and that fit on that wall.
Wow. These are like incredible. We have to get some footage of this. People will really appreciate what I'm looking at right now. Ian, what is one of the ways that we can get in touch with you? Website, your handle, how can people see this stuff?
These days, I think the best way is just Instagram. It's at Ian_Cinco, IAN_CINCO. I use that heavily. I think a lot of people do still. My email is ian.studiocinco@gmail.com. Yeah, you can find me. I'm out there.
Now, do you sell these portraits, really? I mean, there's like so much here, and I'm sure that people would love to have your work framed in their homes.
Yeah, I'm all about selling everything. I don't think there's anything I won't sell for the right price. So the lowest price for me is usually $300 on an original work of art. Mm-hmm. And some of them I price higher according to how much they mean to me, how much time I put into them. But I'm adamant about keeping or making my art available to everybody. So prints are always available for $25. We're looking at a bunch of pieces that are 9 inches by 12 inches. So for that size print, $25.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Ian, let me ask you this. What inspired you to be an artist? Do you think that there was just something within your, genetic makeup that just was needing to be expressed through art? Like there was nothing that could hold you back?
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think that's very possible. And I look at my dog, and she's a blue heeler. She's an Australian cattle dog. And there's things that I tried to teach. There's things I did teach her, but she just wants to bite people's heels. She wants to herd animals, So the older I get, the more I think that maybe there was something that just in my DNA. Because, I could tell you my dad was an architect, and he's very creative, and he definitely inspired me. And I was around a lot of other inspiring people over my life. And my parents were great. They pushed me to make art and stuff. But I don't have an explanation for like why I'm creative. Like I do just wake up and I'm incredibly driven every day, and I want to get as much done as possible. And even when I was a kid, like even before I was like clearly an artist or a cartoonist as I wanted to be, just waking up every day and making forts in the woods and carving out paths. Like I just wanted to get as much of that done every day.
Yeah. Really hands-on, tactile type of learning and exploring. Yeah. I know what that's like.
Yeah, the artist way.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Ian, how did you get to Brooklyn? Were you born here? Or?
I was born out on Long Island, and when it came time to go to college, my dad took me around to a bunch of art schools. I originally thought I wanted to go to the Joe Kubert School because I was still, at that time, really obsessed with comics. But then I went to Pratt Institute and kind of fell in love with the campus. And I think a lot of people really wanted me to go there, so I ended up going there. I finished that. After graduating, I ended up becoming a carpenter for a long time. I worked in construction doing instrumentation technician work, which is a really hard thing to describe. I just did a lot of work, but I stayed in Brooklyn, basically until right before the pandemic hit. I went back out to Long Island. And yeah, I'll probably come back because I love it here.
Yeah.
I love it where we are right now, especially Bushwick. Mm-hmm. I lived in Clinton Hill for a long time, which is, just actually really breathtaking and beautiful. It's not, it's maybe not always so beautiful in Bushwick. There's a lot of dirty, grimy spots. There's literally trash facilities up the street that stink terribly, but the artist community here is phenomenal. I think it's anyone who's really living here knows that it's one of the art meccas of the world, and people are drawn from around the world to come here and check it out. Super inspiring, especially a weekend like this.
Great. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And what's your social media? Do we have your social media?
Yeah, it's Ian_CINCO. And, I'm on TikTok and Instagram mostly these days. Not so much on anything else. I don't know. It's funny the way that social media shift around, but it seems like Instagram's still holding on. So
TikTok's a good one.
TikTok's popping up. TikTok, I had some viral hits on it that that like all of a sudden I get a bunch of followers. I was gonna not use it anymore, and then that happened. I was like, I guess I should still mess around with it. So, yeah.
We gotta get to TikTok. That's the thing.
And somehow still not get too distracted, right? And still make your art.
Right. But and that's also part of making your art is that today the do-it-yourself, culture that we're in is to promote yourself is the only way to get out there, really, right?
Yeah.
And to do things like this, to be a part of, what's happening today here.
Loud. I fully encourage all artists to self-promote, learn how to do it, learn the business. Don't be the victim of starving artist mentality. Try to make money. Try to make a living with your art. I firmly believe in that. Encourage all artists to do it. Yeah.
Great. I would even say, social media is an important component to that, because today the way to promote is just that, and it's for free. So, I mean... You
said for free?
Well, yeah, I mean, these are free platforms, and they can be utilized. I mean, obviously they can be they can become kind of toxic too,
Yeah, we're I think most of us are aware now of the toxic reality that we're in with the phones and being addicted to them. But it's also clear that there's going back to comics, for example. Comics is a history of creators being ripped off, not making money with their own work, but now we have people who are making excellent living, and doing it through social media and connecting with people and doing having a show like yours. There's just so many ways to bring people into the fold of what you're doing, and to own it, and to make money on it, and to have a successful, happy, fulfilling life, And so there's a lot of hope, I think, through social media as well. That's actually what got me making art again, really, was I saw an older man. He was making, art every day and posting it on Instagram. And at the time, I didn't have an Instagram. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm a dinosaur. And I'm not even, at the time, I think I wasn't even 30 yet. And it just got me back into it, And yeah, it was... I think there's a lot to gain and a lot of benefit to social media, despite its toxic, addictive tendencies. Yeah.
Great. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you as well.
And thank you for being on the show. And here is Jen. Hold on.
Just want to say thank you, Ian. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, much gratitude.
This has been On Location, Art Scene, Bushwick. Hello and welcome back to the show. We're here on location in Bushwick, Brooklyn, with a lot of great artists. Got to come down here. Got to check it out. Anyway, I'm going to hand it over to Jen. So, welcome to the show.
James, you are an amazing artist. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed by us. Tell me your full name.
Kosuke James is my artist name. That's what I go by.
Okay, great. So, can you spell it for our listeners so that they know how to look you up?
It's KOSUKEJAMES. That's my handle for most social media, so you can find me anywhere.
So, I got to tell you, we were just talking to Ian, and you guys remind me of having a similar influence.
You think so?
Yeah, a little bit, with an illustrative graphic edge. Now, his is often, he's got his own thing with his kind of comic book thing. But you also have that linear type of work with the, you fill it in. You do your line work very precise.
Right.
And also I find that to be the case with what you're doing with all of these Nike brand shoes. You're actually taking pen to them. So, tell me a little bit about how your style developed.
So, a lot of it comes from, a lot of the character stuff comes from, inspirations from manga, Japanese comics, and also anime.
Right.
I grew up, being influenced in that culture. Also, I majored in architecture, and I think that's where a lot of my, geometric designs come from and originate from. I used to do pen calligraphy in Japan as well, so that's why I like to, draw with pen and markers, and that's where the precision in my line work comes from, and the intricacy. Yeah,
that's interesting. Now, these canvas pieces, what are you using? Is it acrylic?
Yeah, it's mainly acrylic and ink. Yeah, all the colors are acrylic. A lot of the line work, it's usually acrylic or ink. Yeah.
Now, when you say ink, how do you apply it onto canvas?
I just use a micron pen, or even one of these gel pens that I really like to use. A lot of my black and white drawings are from gel pens. Interesting. Actually.
Do you find you can be more precise with them?
Yeah, and I really like how the gel pen flows as far as the ink. It releases a lot of ink when you draw on paper, So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, without too much pressure.
Exactly.
You can control it almost like a brush.
It's not like a big pen, like.
Right.
Yeah, I hate those pens,
Those
by the way.
So tell me how you started experimenting, and then I'm sure selling for a good price, decorative footwear.
Actually, before Bushwick opened studios back in 2018, when I was invited to the same exact show, I used to just do a lot of like work on paper and canvas, and also I used to do a lot of silkscreen printing as well.
Nice.
But I just wanted to bring something new to the table for this show, and I don't know. One of my friends like inspired me. He was also an illustrator, and he started drawing on shoes, and I thought that was like very fascinating. So I tried. I put my own twist to my artwork, and it came out really good. And surprisingly, a lot of people liked it.
That's
and
awesome.
ever since then, it just took off, and I've been doing a lot of commission work.
Wow. I mean, that's like every artist's wish and dream and hope.
Yeah.
To find like a little way to get their work bought. And
Exactly.
it's very creative that and I was asking you yesterday, I thought it was just so interesting because I know how expensive Nike shoes are because of my son. And I'm thinking, but you're a precision artist, so clearly taking pen or any kind of medium to something of value is going to be fine. But I think it's almost like it's a natural reaction because it's like, wow, that's a Nike shoe.
Yeah, and I really like the silhouette of Nike shoes, especially the Air Force One. And, Air Force One has a lot of canvas space. So, you have I just have a lot of space to draw on,
Right.
which is what I like as well. And then once I started, drawing on shoes, that inspired me to draw on like flower pots and other physical like 3D things instead of just, drawing on a flat surface. So
Right. So this is like largely like canvas work, and then right now you're basically into like 3D 3D application of paint.
I'm into a lot of things actually. Yeah.
So what else do you do?
I do a lot of graphic design as well. That's my profession actually.
Nice.
And illustrations is pretty much like my own work. I do a lot of freelance client designs for like startup businesses, like branding design, musicians, album covers,
Nice.
logo designs, event flyers. I actually did the event flyer for this show back in 2019.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I also like to, make content, shoot videos and edit them just for my own self. Making TikTok videos and stuff like that.
Oh yeah? Are you
Yeah.
big on TikTok?
Not yet.
Okay, but what's your handle so these
Same
fans
thing.
could ask?
KOSUKEJAMES. That's
All
my
right.
handle.
Kosuke James.
Yes.
Wonderful to meet you. What has brought you to Brooklyn? Why Brooklyn? Why Bushwick?
I just kind of landed here actually. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and before I moved out here, from time to time I would just come to visit one friend that happened to live in Bushwick, and when I was ready to move out of Pennsylvania, he had a room open in Bushwick, and that's how I ended up in Bushwick, not knowing that this is the art capital of New York. And ever since then, I've been here pretty much like my whole time living in New York. And a lot of the stuff I do now is like inspired by being in Bushwick. So I feel like it was fate, because I got away from a lot of like fine art back in high school and college. So it kind of like brought me back to my childhood in a sense that I learned just a lot, like meeting a lot of artists here and just seeing like how successful they could be making art. And I didn't have that type of inspiration back in Pennsylvania. So like that's what pretty much got me back into art.
Great. Could you tell us what is the Jungle of Peace coloring
This
book?
is some illustration series that I did back in 2018. It was just like 10. It consists of 10 different illustrations of like different animals with my geometric twist to it. And I thought I think it's intricate enough so that you could dive deep into every piece and just you could color. And I just wanted to make something where it could be suitable for all ages of people that appreciate art.
Yeah. Great, and you have some looks like some Nike Airs here. Did you design these, or what is the significance of
actually,
these?
I was live painting these.
Live painting
just now,
these?
Yeah, until you guys came over, actually. I'm still in the process of working on these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to live stream it?
I should.
You can put it on
this
social
was like
media?
a last minute thing, so I didn't even think about doing it. My plan was to paint this foot and then paint this foot when I get home and just document that and make it into a YouTube and TikTok video. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. So how can people find you on social media?
At KOSUKE James. That's pretty much all of my handles on most platforms.
All across the board.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hope
Thank
to
you
see
for
you
having
soon.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Not As Crazy As You Think, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, mental health is attainable for anyone, especially those labeled with mental illness. Until next time, peace out.